Hey, and welcome to the Creation Station. This is Stephan Oberhoff. Today, talking about a really responsive and musical drum kit I just got from the Abbey Road 70's Drummer Library. How does it sound? Without any introduction, let's jump right into it. Listen to how musical this is. Works really well on very soft levels like this. So that's really usable. So let's see what happened. What have I done with it? The most important step that I had to take is to break it out into individual outputs, as you can see over here on KONTAKT. The drum kit itself looks like this. It's a really pretty picture, and this is what it looks like. That's the kit they used. I used snare A. Snare B sounds pretty nice, but not bad, but I like this funky, snappy one. That's not bad, right? Good, lively kick drum with some air around it. So that's really nice. Breaking them out into individual outputs in this particular library, you have to do it because you will not get that kind of smack that this kit has now if you don't do that. So if you look at the mixer over here in the sub-tabs, you can see that there's a tab called Settings. And when you click on Settings and you're on kick drum, you see that this comes out of the master output. So over here in the output section, it will show up, the kick drum will show up on the first channel, and you can see it over here as well. And what are these outputs? That are the overheads. And you'd be surprised to find out how much overhead I'm using to get this particular kick drum sound. Let's pull this down. This is 9.4, so I'm taking it all the way down by itself. So now let's bring the overhead in slowly but surely. Here's that life. Hear it? Went all the way to 9 plus 9.4. Not only a great programmable drum kit, but it's also fantastic for sound replacement because it really responds like a natural kick drum does. Goes all the way to the. It never overblats or double triggers or anything like that. There's a couple of libraries that do that, and they drive me insane. So anyways, that is what happened to this kit over here. Now let's take a look. For example, if I go to snare, you see this comes out of output 2. I have 8 available. I only use about, right now I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ones. 5 and 6 are not used. Toms are all, as you can see over at the sub tab here, also coming out of 4. 2, 3, all coming out of 4. See that? And they have processing on them, and I want to show you what the processing is. There's a lot of processing already can be done within the KONTAKT player inside of the application or the software package, which in this case is 70's Drummer. But I wanted to have a little more discretion about transient design, and I wanted to add some convolution reverbs on it, which are really fabulous and usable and musical. So the first thing I've done with the kick drum, let's take a look, is there's a compressor on it. That's the first thing. You can forget about this visual readout. The compressor is already working, but you can't see it in the readout, but I can hear that it's working. Next thing is a convolution reverb. Let me just dial a little bit more in so you can hear what it does. See, it gives you that splat. It's a really, really good convolution reverb. I'm using just a little bit of the ghost of that breath after the kick drum hits. Not more than, maybe a little more. That's pretty good. After that, we're using an EQ. I added some low gain around about 90 hertz. This is not very accurate. You know, these read out 92 hertz. It could just as well be 150. It's it's a decent usable EQ, but it's not precise. But is it musical? Yes. So these three things sit on the kick drum. And of course, the kick drum also comes out of the overhead channel over here, where there's another convolution reverb. Let me bring that one up. So that's just very, very faintly, I'm getting some of this rather metallic sounding verb. But it works. Next thing in there is another compressor. After the convolution, note that it's after the convolution. There's a reason why I'm doing that, and that reason is because I want to get gain and milk transient out of the entire convoluted sound. And that is done over here with a little bit of top end. Yeah, I added literally 6.5 dB of 5.7, which is probably covering everything from 3 to 6 or 7. And yeah, that is proven to be the most musical. Snare drum is going through in convolution reverb. Let me bring that up a little bit more so you can hear what it does. So you could put that on a MIDI slider and automate it if you want to bring that up during the song. It could be just automated along, during fills. You could just get a little bit more room, which would make these fills breathe more. It is musical. But I'm just using only maybe about -70. Now let me come back down. Start sounding like there's a reverb added. I'd rather have it sound like it's... Let's split the difference. -8.5. Toms. Let's look at the toms. Toms are going through a solid bus compressor again. Very, very, just a nick of it. This particular convolution is nice. And it follows the pan of the instrument, which I rather not have, but it's what it is. So I'm using just a little spritz of it. Got a lot of nice depth. Toms are panned, as you can see up here in the application. I did the direct sound is panned, so they would draw them to a certain part of the room. I'm going to come a little bit closer to the center to make them sound more natural. You also may notice that I have a certain ergonomic layout about the keyboard. I always have my toms spread out like with two, across two keys. So I can do flam. And so that means I had to work in the assignment tab to set these sounds to where I want them to kind of fall under my fingers. The roll over here, that came from higher up in the keyboard. It wasn't here on D sharp number 1. That was then simply done over here in the options tab. And so if I activate the select by MIDI command over here, hello. That should have left it on. For some reason it doesn't. Why it goes off is beyond me. This should light and stay lit. But anyways, if I look at D sharp 7, you can see it as snare roll. If I want maybe for example just the flam on it, I can do that too. I just select the sound and hit confirm. But for these for these drum fills, you need those rolls. These rolls are really good for that. Let's do that again. And the left side and the right side of the snare are different. This is very short and snappy. This is a little warmer and wider. And I like the variety between those two pitches. Sounds very natural to me. So that's a very responsive drum kit, you know, and it wasn't that expensive. But breaking it out into these individual outputs and then processing helps a lot. And this is just now a stereo output. That's how a drum group should be. It contains all the reverbs, everything's inside of this drum group. So if I now, for example, just shut the track down, boom, it's completely quiet, right? See, everything is coming out of the stereo output. Just feels really good to play. By the way, the other ergonomic choice I've made on this keyboard over here is to put the hi-hat and the pedal hat next to each other. So what I'm doing here. I was just playing a little swing on a rock kit, which you normally would not choose to do in production, but you can just shows you how flexible this kit is. Anyways, that was it from the Creation Station. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm so glad you could join me today. And please subscribe to this channel. It will help encourage me to keep posting these videos. And that way I can just reach you quickly with new things that are coming out, new instruments that are coming out that are worthwhile sharing. And it will make your life producing music a lot easier because the sounds will sound musical and properly processed right off the get-go rather than having to start from scratch. That's why I keep doing these things, and I just have a blast doing it. I love working on these rhythms. Also, come to the website, please, stephanoberhoff.com. It's down in the description below this video, and stay tuned for the next installment. I look forward to seeing you guys soon, and keep being creative, and stay blessed, and busy. All right? Peace out.